I don't know about you, but perhaps it's the weather, but it was the longest Lent I can ever remember. The longest 40 days of my life. And several parishioners commented to me the same sentiment, so that I know that I'm not alone. So, happy Easter. Let our alleluias resound, for he is truly risen, just as he said. This past Wednesday, there was a tragedy that took place off the coast of South Korea. Many of us have watched the news. The captain was away from the bridge. A younger person was at the helm, and something happened. They're still not exactly certain, but the ship eventually capsized. There were over 400 souls on board, and there are still over 200 missing. Many of them little children, school children. An awful tragedy. In the early footage, what was captured by video was the fact that the captain was one of the first ones off the ship. And there he was, mingling with passengers who had safely left the sinking ship. This was all caught on tape. Whether it was fear of drowning, fear of dying, the captain was one of the first ones off the ship. So I guess the old adage, the captain must go down with his ship, doesn't apply to all people. Certainly, this is not something new. We've seen this. It happened at Costa Concordia a couple of years ago. It's a sad reality that we see playing out in the news. Now, I'm not here to dampen the sorrow of Easter. That's certainly not the point of my homily today, just the opposite. You see, the early church believed that the church was like a ship, and Jesus was at the helm of that ship. I say to you this morning that Jesus is both the captain and the ship. And yes, he did go down with the ship. He went down into the deep recesses of the earth, and he slept that sleep of death for 3 days and 3 nights. Not because he was afraid, just the opposite, but because he loved us to the point of death, so that we would not know death. And he rose victorious. And momentarily, I'm going to ask everyone gathered in this church this morning to remember that we are passengers on that vessel, on that sacred vessel, by virtue of our baptism. I'm going to ask you to renew your baptismal promises when, on that great day, we were saved. We were set free from sin, and we were given a reason to live, despite the darkness that might sometimes cloud our lives. Our captain never abandons us. Never. He can't. He is so filled with love for us that he would never abandon us. And so this morning, we turn back to him. We recommit ourselves. We rededicate ourselves as baptized men and women in the body of Christ. The reason to live. The reason to hope. Happy Easter.